Boring Breakdown is going to take a boring look at Wonderboy Thompson's game. Disclaimer, we won't be discussing too much about the aesthetics of his kicking game. If you guys would like to learn more about that, highly recommend that you hit up Wonderboy's YouTube channel. I'll put a link in the description below. Also, shouts to the homie Shane Faison. Shane has been a huge supporter of Boring Breakdowns from the beginning, and he was actually the one who hooked us up with this footage. So thank you so much, man. Also recommend that you guys hit up Shane's YouTube channel, Fight Tips. You can find a link to that as well in the description below. So before we jump in, here's a quick outline of some of the stuff that we are going to be covering. So we're going to discuss Wonderboy's footwork and also some of his boxing skills. If you guys do stick around to the end, if I were to scroll down, there's one more topic that I'm going to keep hidden for right now, but stick to the end and we will jump into that. So first, let's talk about the Rego. The Rego is a shorthand command that I use with my students often, and it's based off of the Cuban southpaw Guillermo Rigondeaux. Rigondeaux is a boxer, and he is really good at letting his opponents beat his lead flank, meaning circle around his lead leg. And once they circle around that lead leg, Rego uses an inside pivot. So he's going to use that rear leg to pivot inside and get away from trouble. Let's look at how Wonderboy uses this same Rego principle. He starts with this lead leg chamber, and Shane scoops Wonderboy's foot. Now, Wonderboy had the intent to throw a hook kick to the head, but because of the scoop, the trajectory is thrown off. From here, that kicking leg lands right in this position, which allows Shane to fully flank Wonderboy. Now, this is a pretty precarious position for Wonderboy. How does he get out of it? Watch the rear foot. He's going to hit a Rego via a big inside pivot, and he gets out of trouble. Let's watch it one more time. Scoop, and Rego pivot out. Notice the distance right here, guys. Let's go ahead and watch Guillermo Rigondeaux do this in the boxing format. Rigondeaux on the left is going to allow his opponent to initiate offense, and notice he is going to flank Rigondeaux right here with that lead foot. How does Rego respond with this? He pulls, dips down, and now watch the rear foot of Rigondeaux. Notice how heavily the opponent has flanked him. He's going to pivot out and gets out of trouble. Next, we're going to discuss the retreating footwork of Wonderboy. So, retreats in Wonderboy's instance can be large retreats with big shuffles back, or they can be smaller, more subtle movements, even just a lean back in weight distribution on that rear leg to set up counter offense or get out of trouble. Let's look at first an example of a larger shuffling motion. So Shane here is going to initiate offense. We see one shuffle back from Wonderboy, and Shane is going to continue moving forward. Wonderboy is going to shuffle back again. Now, in this position, he puts his weight on his rear leg. As Shane continues forward, Wonderboy is just going to slowly lean back and into a lead leg round kick. Notice not too much preparation needed. He uses the shuffling back motion to set up his counter offense. Let's watch one more time. Shuffle, lean into the round kick. Here's a much more subtle example of the retreating footwork of Wonderboy. He's going to throw a right hand. Watch this jab here. The jab doesn't have tons of intent to land and do tons of damage, but what it does is it hides this rear foot. Let's watch the rear foot during this jab. Wonderboy is going to step it out and lean his weight in this retreating posture on the rear leg. Why does he do this? Let's look at the counter hook from Shane. As Shane throws this counter hook, Wonderboy is nowhere to be found, and because his weight is on this leg, he's very easily able to pick up that lead leg and meet Shane's counter hook with a lead leg kick. Notice, far cry away from the Muay Thai switch kick, but certainly no less effective. Let's go ahead and watch this one more time. Right hand, jab to hide the motion of this step, retreating lead leg middle kick. The last piece of footwork we're going to discuss is the triangular zone off. Now, this might look familiar to you if you have seen Wonderboy's highlights, whether it be on YouTube or in pay-per-view events from the UFC. Now, this piece of footwork is going to set Wonderboy up via flanking around Shane. Let's go ahead and watch. He's in this karate hop right here. He starts with a throwaway right hand. During the throwaway right hand, he's going to step that rear foot up. This brings up the defense of Shane. Watch what this right foot does. It's going to help him zone off this way with a step. As he zones off, he's just going to clear that distance right here. Now, it's important to note, Wonderboy is in southpaw, and because he has flanked directly to Shane's right, he has actually turned Shane to southpaw as well. Now, this might not be as noteworthy of an example of the triangular zone off, but in the next example, I'm going to show you how it might look familiar to you. Let's go ahead and watch. Here we're going to see a much more highlight-worthy example of the triangular zone off. So Wonderboy is going to start in front of Shane. There's a little bit of motion, level changes. He's going to do that same throwaway right hand. Let's watch the right foot of Wonderboy stepping up. Even though Shane's back is blocking us, we can reasonably assume that he is now going to take a left step to zone off as he comes around this side. Now, everything is the exact same as the last example, except let's look at this highlight-worthy setup. As he zones off, Shane sees the opponent getting farther away from him, and there's a sense of relaxation because the range is increasing, but Wonderboy is going to leave his right leg trailing behind his upper body as he zones off to sneak up a head kick. And guys, Shane is no slouch. He's not the only one to be at the receiving end of this triangular zone off head kick setup. I encourage you guys to watch some of Wonderboy's fights on the UFC. He's done this to quite a few opponents in the UFC as well. Let's watch it one more time. Level changes, throwaway right hand, step up, zone off, and head kick. Next, we're going to discuss Wonderboy's boxing skills. So perhaps this is a controversial case to make, but I would say that Wonderboy's a pretty decent boxer in that he has taken certain elements from the boxing game and has adapted those elements pretty well to his style. The first of those elements we're going to discuss is the teasing jab. Now, the teasing jab is something we see from Wonderboy where he darts in to boxing range, throws a jab, perhaps not with the most damaging intent, and then is able to very quickly get out. Now, this can get him back into his own kicking range to initiate kicking offense, or it can draw the opponent in because the opponent got touched and Wonderboy was immediately out of there, and this makes the opponent want to chase Wonderboy. Now, let's look at an example of this teasing jab. From here, Wonderboy's on the outside. He initiates with a side kick. Off of the side kick, Shane is going to return a low kick. Now, notice how Wonderboy has darted back as he got touched with the low kick. From here, he gets back into punching range with this leaning jab. As he teases this jab, what does he do? He immediately gets right back out. Now, what are some of the effects of this? Let's look at another example to see where this goes. Here we're going to see Wonderboy start with this chamber hopping in. Shane high guards. Wonderboy is going to throw a teasing jab. Off the teasing jab, Shane retreats, so Wonderboy continues the advance. And from here, Shane is going to now initiate the offense. As he initiates, Wonderboy interrupts it with a jab. And look at the distance management. He's going to lean back as Shane throws his right hand, again teased with the jab. Notice that same lean as in our first example. And then come back and at this point it makes Shane clear that range. So constantly teasing in and out with that jab can elicit a reaction of a counter from the opponent, at which time you're already far enough away because you jabbed in and then immediately got out. Let's watch that whole sequence one more time. Teasing jab, interrupt the offense, and then during Shane's cross, throw another jab and clear that distance. Next, we're going to discuss how Wonderboy uses the jab to buy time after the kick. From here, we see Shane initiate with a head kick. Wonderboy returns with this hook kick. Now, even though it got Shane to defend heavily, let's look at what Wonderboy does just in case to give him time to bring that leg back down and settle into a stance. He just shows the jab right here. Even though it doesn't hit, it makes Shane back up, and Wonderboy is able to recover his stance. Let's look at another example that gets Wonderboy out of trouble from any counters. Here we see Wonderboy throw the head kick. Now, after this round kick to the head, he's going to throw the jab. And what does this do? It's going to buy him time to retreat as Shane throws that low kick. So let's watch one more time. Round kick, jab as he moves back, and now he has good distance from that low kick. The last boxing element we're going to discuss is Wonderboy's use of lead hand level changes. Let's go ahead and jump in. A lot of detail here, so let's go slow. From here, it's important to note it's not just the lead hand, but it's Wonderboy's hips that go up and down as well. Very difficult for the opponent to read. Here, Wonderboy lifts the glove high, Shane touches. He drops his hips and the glove low, and it pulls Shane's elbows in a tiny bit. He's going to show a short jerky movement right here and go downstairs with this feint, which pulls Shane's glove to parry the low line. He's going to lift the glove up. As he does so, Shane throws the left hand. Wonderboy blocks with that same lead glove as he distributes the weight to the back, leans away, and side kicks. Let's go ahead and watch that one more time, full speed. Amazing work. Level changing, feinting, leaning back into the side kick. All right, guys. Thank you so much for sticking with me this far. So just like in a video game, you guys beat the game. You get to unlock a character. You guys unlocked this next topic, which is the chamber barrier. So the chamber barrier is something Wonderboy's really good at. Obviously, karate background, and is amazing at using the chamber for offensive options. Now, as a result of conditioning his opponent to tons of attacks off of the chamber, he has the side kick, he has the hook kick, he has the round kick. Once you throw so many attacks off of the chamber, as soon as you lift your chamber up, the opponent already hesitates. Let's look at how Wonderboy uses this chamber as a barrier to stop the opponent from offense. From here, we see some lead hand level changes. Shane is going to initiate offense, and Wonderboy just lifts up the chamber and simply touches Shane. Notice he didn't really have to extend the side kick or anything like that. It just keeps Shane where he is, and Shane retreats. Let's look at an offensive application of this chamber barrier. Again, because of the conditioning from these chamber attacks, Wonderboy is able to create an imaginary wall and use the chamber barrier offensively. He lifts the chamber up, starts hopping in. Because Shane knows how threatening that lead leg can be, he backs Shane up without even making contact. Great work using the chamber for both offense and defense. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped, and I hope this enlightens you when you do watch Wonderboy's fights in the UFC, some of the boring details aside from his beautiful kicking game. Guys, shouts to Wonderboy and shouts to Shane Faison. Again, both of the links to their YouTube channels are in the description below. If you guys did like this video, please give it a like and subscribe. And if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to hit them up below. Thanks so much, guys. Boring Breakdowns.